Don't ever let it go! Sooner or later, it has to drop.
Blood and Black Rum Podcast presents She's All That. Hey guys, welcome back to the Blood and Black Rum Podcast. I'm Ryan from Cultsploitation.com, and I'm joined with my co-host Martin.
How's it going?
And actually, I should have let Martin do the lead-up for this episode, because he's the one that picked this episode. And I said that when we did the intro for this new episode, I was going to just put out a disclaimer saying that if this episode fails miserably, Martin is the one that picked the film for it. So you can blame it all on him. You know, so if there's no traffic, if we see that no one's downloading this episode, we know why that is.
Well,
Ms. Martin,
you're wrong. There's no reason this episode's going to fail.
just saying,
It's a perfect episode.
it's a movie that we wouldn't normally cover. It's not something that we would pick.
Have we not
routinely.
done 90s Miramax films before with like the same type of cast?
We have.
So instead of it just being a slasher film, it's rom-com.
And I was kind of looking at what we've done previously, and we've done a few films that are sort of in this wheelhouse, but not really. I mean, I would say that this is probably going to be the first film that's really ventured outside of the normal stuff that we do. Cats and Dogs being another one. Does anybody remember the episode we did on Cats and Dogs?
I do.
The Jeff Goldblum month that we did?
The first Goldblum month?
I honestly... Cats and Dogs is sort of a blur to me, so I don't even remember the episode at all. I'd have to go back and listen and see how it was, because I feel like it wasn't that great.
It's probably a shorter episode.
I feel like it was not.
But see, when we pitched the idea of supposed to say we want to do a Jeff Goldblum month, I randomly threw Cats and Dogs out there because I remember him clearly seeing him in theaters, watching Cats and Dogs, and being Jeff Goldblum's quirky dad in that. He's a scientist, and you're like, really? I'm like, yeah. He's in that movie, and you're like, well, let's do that. I'm like, I don't know if we get a lot of mileage out of it, but let's do it. Why not, you know?
Well, you know what? We're sort of in the opposite now. You were the one that threw out this episode, and you were the one that was saying, you know what we should do? We should do a romantic comedy. A 90s romantic comedy.
Because you know what? I think the people, you get tired. You get tired of the same old slog.
Honestly, though, I'm going to use today's episode.
Especially seeing as you can't throw like Bandy about here saying, well, it's out of our wheelhouse. Listen, why are we doing the Marvel and DC films?
Yeah.
Clicks.
That's true.
We hopped on that bandwagon, with Civil War, and, now we're like, oh yeah, we're also the comic guys too, we do comic films too, but, You know the original premise of this podcast of it being about like your Z-list, giallo, horror, and all, it's gone. We kind of just do whatever the fuck we feel like.
Well, what I said was I'm going to use this episode of a romantic comedy as part of an advertisement for Blood and Black Rum Podcast, because we're going to say how many podcasts have done Mako, Django the Bastard, and also She's All That in the scope of their podcast. I would say we're probably the only podcast doing this shit. To be honest, like some of the shit that we do is just so out there and different from what other people are covering that I'm kind of proud of it.
Well, again, because as I told you, as we were watching the movie, after this, we're moving into Halloween territory where we're going to be doing another fucking marathon. Which we haven't revealed yet, but we're going to be doing like another fucking marathon. Yeah. And it's not going to be any glitz and glam or anything. So you're
right.
So you know what? Let's have a little levity.
So we decided...
Some nice popcorn fun to enjoy.
We decided we're going to do a nice lighthearted romantic comedy.
And plus, if you are like us, children of the 90s and 2000s, She's All That, as I'm getting very rhymy right now with the gassy burps. She's All That is an iconic film.
It is.
I think it's kind
of... that I had never seen.
Really?
I had never seen She's All That.
See, that's why I pushed it so hard.
Honestly, you know why? This is like a big blank space in my
This is the
film watching.
This is the Pretty in Pink of the 90s.
It certainly is. I mean, they mention it in the film, but it's definitely the Pretty in Pink of the 90s, which would then become later on in the 2000s. They would say like, oh, this is the She's All That of the 2000s. You know, so it definitely is.
This film's so big. The main crux of the parody of Not Another Teen Movie is She's All That. There's a bunch of 90s romantic comedies parodied in it, but the main crux of the film is She's All That.
And I have to say that
which is Chris Evans' breakout film.
I'm a little ashamed that I hadn't seen She's All That. Just because it is like a big film from the 90s that you would expect me to have seen, especially, you know, cult film fan and everything else.
Coming out of the Miramax, you know, house at the time.
One of those things that I never...
They could do no
Maybe
wrong.
It was that big blocky font. Immediately, even as a 11-year-old kid, I was like, fuck that big blocky font.
Well, yeah, obviously didn't hit puberty yet. If you're like, I don't care about Rachel Leigh Cook.
I guess that's true as well, yeah. So with She's All That, I mean, like I said, I had never seen it before. You had really talked me into doing this for the episode. And you had sold it as sort of like... you know, we love Mean Girls as well, so why not do She's All That for the show? And I was
it's nothing like Mean Girls. Mean Girls is its own special, beautiful film. But
I think that the idea behind what you said is true. She's All That, if I had looked at the cover, I would have thought basic rom-com. And I probably wouldn't have ventured out to see it. But when you put it in a context of, it's like Mean Girls, sort of, in the same situational way that I would expect Mean Girls to not be something that I would really be interested in, and yet I love the film, I think you have a point there. That this is not just a film for teenage girls. That like some other rom-coms of the 90s, and as you mentioned, The Princess Diaries and things like that. It's not that. It's
never been kissed. 10 things I hate about
It's more so suited for everybody. It's not just a film that would be more interesting to women. It's not a film that's more interesting to guys. It's very much down the line, very funny 90s rom-com. And I do like that you would like. This is something that really took me out of. I probably would never have watched it on my own. I probably would never have just been like, you know, I've never seen She's All That. Let me pop it on. You know, that would not be something that like on a Saturday night while I'm sitting alone in the dark, I'm going to pop on She's All That tonight. But I'm glad us guys got together with a couple of beers and a beef stew and watched it.
Beef soup, wasn't stew.
Yeah.
Stewy. Had a lot of beans and like lentils and such.
Because like I said, I would never have watched it myself, but I am glad to have experienced it. And like I said, it's a little bit strange to do for the Blood and Black Rum podcast, but it does make sense. We're going lighthearted. In the next 8 weeks, we're going to do a whole bunch of gory horror movies and stuff like that. So why not do a little bit of a lighthearted 90s fun for this episode?
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. So you had seen it a lot, right? You've seen it a few times.
I've seen it like 4 or 5 times.
And when did you...
I haven't probably seen it in like a decade. Mm-hmm. But I've seen it like 4 or 5 times.
And when did you like first venture out to see it? How did that occur where you were like, I'm going to watch She's All That?
I think I saw it like when I was like 10. 10 or 11. It was just a movie like my parents...
I mean, that makes sense. It came out in 1999. You would have been 10 when it came out.
Yeah, parents rented it, I think, or something. Just as like something to fucking watch. Mm-hmm. Even though, like, at that time, usually it was like, I was kind of saying, like, fuck the movies. I'm looking at the 64 games, you know.
Little video world excursion.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Your dad's shop was closed down at that point, so. Yep. But, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's about. It'd be either that or I caught it on TV at some point.
And so, after you saw it, you were like, oh, this is a great movie. Even at 10.
I probably didn't know. Honestly, like, when you're that young,
that's what I mean.
It's more like, you know, if it wasn't like a Space Jam or something, you know.
This is what I was getting at, though. Like, at 10, I don't know if you would have been able to really
The intricacies.
appreciate the nuance of it.
No, but as I've gotten older, like, watching it, yes. Like being like 15 watching, it's like, yeah, it's kind of like a...
And perhaps
because the premise seems so fucking stupid.
Right.
Like, this... And it's not this film. It's like a lot of movies and TV shows where they got these pretty girls like Rachel Leigh Cook and whatnot being like, oh, they're the ugly duckling that no one understands. I remember the same thing too, like with like Lizzie McGuire. Like, oh, that Hillary Duff, she's just the nerd that no one understands.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you're full of shit. No. Same thing with like Rachel Leigh Cook. Like, no. You telling me like no one could see through her overalls? Like, oh yeah, she does have boobies.
Like I said, most Instagram influencers now are like trying to dress like Rachel Leigh Cook.
Well, because again, it's funny because if you think of like beauty like tropes. 90s, like, oh no, why are you wearing glasses? Have you tried contacts? Now it's like people wear glasses just like, because it's like, oh, you have glasses? Like, do you have something wrong with your... No, it just adds to the look. It's because, geek chic's, totally in, so.
I do like how you can't see it, but Martin's doing like Vogue poses over here just to, because he's wearing glasses. But he absolutely needs them.
Yeah, so I'm blind as a fucking bat,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean,
it's just like stuff like that kind of like always grinds my gears. Kind of like I hate that trope of like playing like the pretty girl, like kind of like with like Cinderella. Mm-hmm. Obviously, like Cinderella's like supposed to like, oh, she's the ugly poor girl that no one understands. It's like, no, she's not really. Yeah, you're full of shit,
and everybody knows.
But this film, kind of is playing it for laughs.
Sure, I mean I do think that obviously people. When they cast Rachel Leigh Cook, it was like, we have to make her super nerdy. How do we do that? And so they did. I feel like they did a pretty good job. I mean, like, she isn't, at the beginning of the film, she is more of a nerdy type person.
I'd say bitchy. But I think every girl in this film is practically bitchy. Whether they're popular or not, they're all just...
90s syndrome.
Just being like... Totally, no.
Well, I mean, they are also the rich elite of California.
Yeah.
So,
well, there's, as we'll talk about, there's schools.
They're the 1% of this area. But
no, she's nerdy, but it's at the point where it's like, it's the kind of things that would get me annoyed. Like, yeah, okay, I'm fine with you, talking about, let's, help the whales and stuff. But like, if you're just sitting there ranting about it over and over, it's like, shut the hell up.
It's the dolphins, by the way. She's concerned about the dolphins.
Well, even her best friend is like, okay, yeah, it's not dolphin, it's dolphin safe too. My little, and she's like, I don't care anymore. But it's just the whole like, it's more like the whole California.
Merzbow would be happy.
That whole like California. Well, that's a big thing over in Japan too.
Yeah,
just
dolphin killing.
Yeah.
So one thing that I do remember about She's All That though was that I do remember the box art for it. Because I always and still do think that it looks like conjoined twins.
It's actually a monster. It's
a Freddie Prinze Jr.
Rachel Leigh
Cook monster.
Yeah, it's actually
they're combined together.
Yeah, it's actually it's kind of like basket case.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you've got that one. One twin that's sort of evil, and the other one that's trying to help it. All right, let's take a break real quick, and we'll talk about the beer that we had on the show today, because we did have a new one, and we're sort of entering into territory where for the next few weeks we're going to try to shift out of not having a beer to having all kinds of Oktoberfests for the September and October months as we're doing our Halloween shows with all the horror movies that we're doing. But this week we are at least not having an Oktoberfest and going with a different type of beer. One that I picked up when I was in Maryland. I went to Maryland this past weekend, and as I do pretty much any time I go on vacation or go to a new place, I try to pick up some local beers if I'm in the area where I can stop and grab something from a liquor store or a beer place or a packy, as they call them in Massachusetts.
Oh, what?
A package store. That's what they call them. So I try.
That makes me hate the New England region.
Yeah, because they can't sell them in like they don't sell them in grocery stores.
No, I know that.
No
but
beer.
No, I know that. I do know that. But the fact a packy.
That's what they call
went
it.
to the packy, got him a carriage, and went to.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
Ugh.
But so in Maryland, I did stop at a beer store, a liquor store, and I grabbed a couple different things. I grabbed DeClaw Brewing's Oktoberfest, which we're not talking about on the show.
White Claw?
No, DuClaw.
The Claw?
DuClaw.
The one claw?
Yeah.
The White Claw?
DuClaw is probably like, fuck, I wish we didn't name ourselves DuClaw now. No, I grabbed the DuClaw Oktoberfest.
When are we going to start reviewing White Claw?
Yeah, whenever you bring it on the show.
All right, that's next time.
And then the other one that I grabbed, which we did do on the show today, was from another Baltimore, Maryland brewery, Monument Brewing. And they had a rye India Pale Ale. It's called 51 Rye. And I believe that this is a really good rye India Pale Ale.
Is an India Pale Ale an IPA?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
I was just
It's a
wondering.
rye IPA.
I was just wondering because you spelled it out this time. Yeah.
I don't know why. Just because it was rye India Pale Ale. I didn't want to say rye Pale Ale because it's not correct.
Or Ripa.
Right. Yeah, I could say Ripa. It's a rye India Pale Ale. So the name means that there's 51% rye in it, obviously. And I really enjoyed this beer. I thought it was really good. It's a nice medium-bodied beer. I think it's about 6%. And it
Doesn't
is...
taste it.
No, it's not super alcoholic, but it does have that nice rye character to it. With the IPA element in the hops not super prominent, but the hops prominent enough where you get both the rye flavor and the hoppy flavor of it.
I'd agree. I'm a big fan of rye IPAs. I like my rye beers. A little disappointed it's not as like rye-y as like the Ruthless Rye from Sierra Nevada, but I understand they all can't be like that.
Yeah, and also sometimes I find the Ruthless Rye is a little too rye.
Well, it's very peppery.
It's very strong.
With like, it's like, as you were saying, as you were eating your nice beef soup with your peppercorn, a little peppercorn, that's how rye the Ruthless Rye is.
And sometimes with the Ruthless Rye, you just don't want that. You don't want a super overpowering
it's also
rye.
it's also a double IPA, so.
Yeah, it's just intense.
But this is good. It's very drinkable. I'd almost say kind of sessionable.
Yeah, I would say sessionable. For sure.
Even with how high alcohol content that it has, it's got a nice rye forward profile, light hops on the back, little nice malt on the back as well. It's not if you're not the biggest fan of rye, but you want to try something, I'd say try this. It's actually pretty good. It's got enough of a rye taste that if you're a fan of rye, as a style, that you would enjoy it. And I think it's kind of something that kind of would wane you, get you into rye if you're kind of skeptical about it.
Yeah,
because rye is an especially like if you get like a nice really if you ever had like really whole grain like rye bread or something, or really strong rye whiskey or something. It's very very kind of overwhelming if you're not a fan of it.
Mm-hmm. I think that this is a really good, well balanced rye India Pale Ale, and I would definitely recommend it. My first excursion with Monument. But definitely would check them out again.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah,
it's a style that I think's kind of underutilized. You don't see a lot of like rye pale ales or rye IPAs.
No, with the style, and how much India Pale Ales have become so big, the rye element to it,
especially with everybody going all fruity now, like different what kind of different fucking fruits can they cram into their beers? Nice big bready beer like that, it's gonna be like a lot of people are gonna pay. It'd be like a great, nice Thanksgiving beer.
Yeah,
sitting there with your mashed potatoes and stuffing.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I definitely would check out more Monument beers. And
now, where are they in Maryland? Or the base?
Baltimore. Yep, Baltimore, Maryland. So I was just outside Baltimore, so I picked it up. They had a whole nice case of local Maryland beers, and I believe DuClaw is also out of Baltimore.
Were you at Wegmans?
No, actually, they don't have a. You know what they have? And I'll be damned if I can remember the actual name of it.
Kroger's?
Nope. It's fucking like Harrison Ellis or something like that is the name of their grocery store. I can't remember it now. I'm sure that's not correct.
I could have sworn they had a Wegmans down there.
Well, they probably do, but the one that we went to that was nearest to where...
You gotta clean your phone out. Holy hell.
Yeah. The one that was nearest to where we were staying was whatever this one was called, and I can't remember what it was now.
No Grand Union stuff?
I've got to... No. No, for sure not. But hold on 1 second, and I will find it. It was like... Something like... What I said, like Harrison...
Piggly Wiggly?
Eiler or Harris Teeter. That's what it was.
Wow, what a name.
Harris Teeter is their grocery store name. Yep.
That's awful.
That really caught me by surprise.
It's not called Walmart?
Yeah, no. So that was the grocery store, but where I got it from was a liquor store, so.
Do they have...
Completely irrelevant.
What does it say? Do they have laws like that?
I'm not sure, but I did... at Harris Teeter, I don't believe that they had any liquor there. So, yeah, probably.
Well, if you said it was a grocery store. So they should...
Harris Teeter, the grocery store, did not have beer. I went to a liquor store next door to it to get the beer. Okay. So I would assume
how inconvenient that is, too, by the way.
Probably the rest of the state, or the rest of the United States is like, we don't have it in our grocery stores.
I think it's like kind of like a Bible Belt thing, though.
Could be. Yeah.
Which is funny, because what do Southerners love? Love them football! What do you got to do? You got to drink beer when you're watching football. Can't do it. Lord's Day.
Yeah.
Sabbath. Got to go Friday. Go to Friday liquor store.
Yeah, make sure you get out there before they close.
God bless our blue laws for being so lax around here. Just can't buy anything after 2.
I love it. After, what, 2 a.m.? Is that what it is? Or 2 p.m.? 2 p.m. on Sunday.
2 a.m.
2 a.m.
2 a.m. in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning.
Gotcha.
So from 8 to 2, you can buy booze. Yeah, no.
Never has affected me. So I didn't even know. But yeah.
Well, you haven't lived.
So how'd you like that? I brought you home a little taste of Baltimore, Maryland.
Yeah, it's nice. I wanted to go down there because I want to go to Camden Yards.
Yeah.
I want to look at Gary Thorne in the booth and just look at his exasperated look like, oh, the fucking Yankees hit another goddamn home run again against us. You know, they went, I think, like 15-3. I mean, no, like 16, either 16-3 or 17-2 this year against the Orioles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Destroyed them. It's great. Go Yankees.
Makes sense.
If you don't know, Gary Thorne's their Orioles announcer.
Yeah. Got it.
Okay. Just wondering.
All right, so getting back to She's All That. So She's All That, 1999 rom-com, obviously. The one thing I like to point out... Starring?
Matthew Lillard.
Yeah. Starring Matthew Lillard from The Real World.
The end.
That's it. That's all you need to know.
Great episode. You can get us on...
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Matthew Lillard, big-time actor of the 90s.
I wouldn't say big time. I would say big bit play.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, even his role in She's All That, though, he is like third build, something like that. He is a bit player in this film. He's more like comedic.
He's being Stu, but except not Psycho.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have started out our show with Matthew Lillard. But
I thought that's what you were gonna do.
No, I wasn't going that far. I was saying. The thing about She's All That I like to point out, especially after having watched it, is that it's a film where you should feel bad about who you are right now, and you should change it based on the whims of someone else so you can be more popular.
See, here's the thing. I don't have a problem with that. Because a lot of relationships start off with people saying, oh, that guy's kind of an asshole, but he's cute. I'm going to fix that.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with that part. The popular part is, stupid, nonsensical. Yeah. But what are most relationships, that like kind of like meet up with incompatible people with them just being like, I'm going to try to fucking, change that.
Well, so I'm kind of joking. I'm not really like criticizing She's All That for that.
It's a trope.
I think, yeah. I mean, I think for sure that there are some problematic issues with She's All That being like, hey, look at Rachel Leigh Cook right now. She's wearing suspenders. She's completely
dungarees.
Ugly. She's completely ugly. Look at her. She's got paint on her shoes.
That's the biggest problem. That's the bigger problem about, like, I'm going to change somebody. It's more like they have the audacity to be like, this girl who would meet every society's, like, standards of pretty, ugly.
Yeah. It's a deal.
All because she doesn't show a little cleavage.
It's a big deal in this film. I think that there are definitely some concerns with that, but I think more so, like, I'm just kind of making a joke here, but I do think that it is a little funny that this is a movie that sort of takes Rachel Leigh Cook and says, listen, you're fine, you're okay, and, you know, you're doing well in school, you're a great artist, blah, 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 but guys don't like you. So you know what you need to do? You gotta change yourself a little bit so that guys do like you. And like you're saying, Rachel Leigh Cook in this film, no one would ever have said...
They didn't try.
No one would ever have said, Rachel Leigh Cook in this movie is ugly. Or like, you know, yes, maybe she's a klutz. Maybe she's a mess. Her mom fucking died, Freddie Prinze Jr., okay? So maybe give her some slack on that.
Bitches about the environment.
But no one would ever say Rachel Leigh Cook in this movie is ugly. And I do think that it's just a little bit funny that she's all that people flocked to it. They were like, you know what? You're right. I do need to change for other people.
See, the difference, too, is like, so it's the Pretty in Pink of the 90s, right? Molly Ringwald, at least, has like a girl next door quality about her. Rachel Leigh Cook does, too, but nowhere near as like Molly Ringwald.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Nowhere near like that same line.
Like Rachel Leigh Cook, she does have those mousy characteristics, but I wouldn't say she's like the girl next door type.
No, especially with like, you know, like once like they like do like her 90s hairdo and stuff.
Yeah, and then once Freddie Prinze Jr. brings that slinky red dress in.
God, how creepy.
Freddie Prinze Jr. goes to
was he dressing up and like trying to...
Yeah, he goes to what would have been a big like dress store at the time in the 90s. What would the...
JCPenney?
I guess, maybe. I feel like there would have been something else for the rich hoity-toity class, though, to go to. But whatever that store was, and I can't think of the name of it, Freddie Prinze Jr. was there after school, and he was like...
How do you know her size?
Yeah, right?
He
just was like...
Well, he's been with so many women, he's eyed up, you know, like, her bust is... this is her bust.
She's extra petite. So he just went to the store, and he was like, you know what? I'm looking for a nice dress for my lady. And he was just...
And even your wife said, that's, you know, like Brian did that to you before you started, like, actually officially dating. Would you find that, like, oh, thank you, or would you be creeped out by that? She's like, I'd be totally creeped out by that.
You know what the thing is, though, is that, like, basically Freddie Prinze Jr. is assuming, listen, I'm rich.
Get your ass in this dress.
But I'm rich. Rachel Leigh Cook is poor in terms of the film. Because she has a dad who fixes pools, so she's obviously poor.
Which, by the way, being like somebody who fixes pools, it's not like... I'm not saying you're raking in the money. That's good, but it's a good paying job. Especially if you live in like Southern California, where everyone's got even the poor father got a fucking in-ground pool.
Yeah,
you know.
But Freddie Prinze Jr. is thinking, you know what? She's not rich enough to even have good clothes, so I'm going to buy her one.
That's why she's wearing. That's why she's wearing those overalls. They're stained in paint.
I'm going to bring her a nice dress. That's what he's saying, and so obviously she's flattered by it. But in real life, you'd be like, you're a fucking creep.
Would you find that attractive too? Just showing up at like your doorstep every day, like annoying you, like, hey.
Yeah, I thought I'd stop by.
Hey, I thought you'd stop by. I told you I was busy cleaning today. I hired some kids to clean for the house today. Here you go.
You said he hired kids. He hired skinheads. The two guys that come in.
I'm pretty sure I saw Edward Norton in the background, you know.
The two guys that come in is like, one guy is completely shaved head and with like super baggy shorts and shirt, and the other guy comes in and also has a shaved head and is wearing a fucking wife beater. They're skinheads. He hired skinheads off the street.
I'm pretty sure I saw Edward Norton in the background just walking. But no, you're right. It's totally creepy. Though, to be fair, Freddie Prinze Jr. is kind of creepy in this film.
Well,
he's got creepy eyes, just like...
Well, obviously the whole premise of it, that there's a bet that you're going to fix this girl and get her to be prom queen in 6 weeks.
Well, we better start off. It's because Freddie Prinze Jr., his also ultra mega popular girlfriend, breaks up with him because of a nice tryst she had on spring break with Matthew Lillard.
I love it too. I love the storyline of how she delivers this news. Like, yeah, I forget what we did. We just did so much. It was we fucked so much. It was a blur.
I know. We fucked so, which is kind of just imagine Matthew like, yeah, man, yeah. Just and she's probably looking in the mirror of himself, at himself, like, yeah, man, I'm fucking awesome.
He's looking at the tattoo of himself he got. But yeah, I love that delivery.
Down in Daytona Beach, the C, not even the B list, the C list of. Spring break spots. And they're not in Cancun on MTV1. They're not like,
like on MTV3, if that was even a thing in 1999. I don't know.
For spring break.
Yeah.
Because remember how big of a thing that used to be?
Yeah.
They air spring break on MTV?
Absolutely. How do you think I jacked off most of the time?
Shut down the channel for a week just for like, Jerry Springer here down in Cancun, you know?
When it wasn't Girls Gone Wild infomercials on Comedy Central at 2 a.m., it was the MTV spring break coverage. But yeah, I mean, I just love the delivery of that. But yeah, that sets off this whole bet in motion.
And it's funnier in like hindsight now too, just because like being 20 years later, like just how fucking ridiculous it is. And even at the time, like they're playing it like straight, but also like they're making fun of that whole thing too. But it's even funnier now in hindsight because it's like, I don't think you think the real world's still a thing. Yeah, right. It was season 2 of the Real World in this film, and that was like 1999. So it is a thing, but it's more. Have you ever watched a season of the Real World? No, I only watched. I think I've seen bits and pieces. See, I only watched one season of the Real World. It's like back in 2005 or 6 is like Real World San Diego. But I used to and Road Rules 2 was, if you remember Road Rules, is I never watched really. I only watched the Real World San Diego. Never watched a season of like nothing happened to it. But I always watched the challenge Road Rules versus Real World. Yeah, that's still a thing. I used to watch that like every time they'd have a new season. Me and my sister's now obsessed with it. Me and my sisters would watch like Dave Mirra before he killed himself. Rest in peace. Hosting like the challenge and shit and like I don't know why. I just always watched it with them. Just a fun time. Yeah. That's so Real World in this film is a dated reference, but not only that, but there's the whole other birth of reality TV right there. Yeah, and there's you wouldn't have your Real Housewives of New York and shit because Big Brother. Big Brother really owes a debt to Real World. Amazing Race. You and your family used to go ape shit over the Amazing Race. But so back to She's All That with Taylor. Yeah, Taylor, which is Freddie Prinze Jr.'s girlfriend, Zach's girlfriend in that. She delivers this news that she's had a romp with Matthew Lillard's character, Brock Hudson, which is pretty hilarious. I even love the fact that even Freddie Prinze like, what kind of fucking name is is Brock Hudson? And she's like, what kind of name is Zach? Yeah, Zach Seiler says, what kind of name is Brock Hudson? Is that a Pokemon gym leader? But it sets in motion the bet that Zach and Dean have. Dean Sampson. With his nice JanSport bag. You knew you had good money, or at least, your parents were trying to pretend. If you were in school in the 90s and you had a JanSport bag. It was like $70. They weren't fucking cheap. No, they were not. And they lasted. But I should thank my parents one of these days. Like, thank you. For getting the JanSport bag. That I would later go to draw on, and get one like every... So you didn't say though with Dean Sampson played by Paul Walker, you didn't say rest in peace on that. No, because you know what? You gave Dave Mirra a shout out, but you didn't. Yeah, because you know what? Paul Walker is a poor man's Sean William Scott in this film. He saw American Pie, he saw Stifler, he's like, oh, that's what I gotta do. Well, you know what? At least he doesn't spell his name with 2 N's. Like Sean does. It's a completely incorrect spelling of Sean. But that's neither here nor there. But so it sets in motion. At least one of them still has a career. Well, the other one's dead, so exactly. I hope the other one. I hope Sean William Scott has a career over Paul Walker. But it sets in motion the whole bet that
Freddie Prinze Jr. can fix up Rachel Leigh Cook by the time the prom comes around, make her prom queen, beat out Taylor Vaughn.
I do love the fact when they're looking at other girls. Like, one girl walks by and was like, oh, they have a nice rack and it's a little bit lopsided and curly hair, but we could fix her up. She's literally like walking 3 feet in front of him. She's like look behind her and like smack him in the face like, you asshole. She's like, that's just Zach.
That's just Zach being Zach.
That's just
He's the hottest boy in school.
He looked at me.
But yeah, this whole bet is basically a Pretty in Pink ripoff, and so Freddie Prinze Jr. immediately sets out to change Rachel Leigh Cook by like stopping by as she's like talking to people on campus, as everybody is just sort of like
hanging
outside
out on
of class.
the quad.
Yeah. No class.
This quad is
Everybody's got
huge, by
study
the way.
hall.
That quad is huge.
There's only like one class a day at this school. You go to like your one class.
They have a campus DJ. They have Usher.
Yeah, Usher just hanging out.
Usher plays the campus DJ. That's his role. He's got no name. He's just the campus DJ, giving the Warriors bites. Like, ooh, Zach tried to do something today, but Laney shot him down. Let's see if Zach can rebound from this as he goes downtown tonight.
Well, I think the most hilarious thing is like this campus, this massive 40,000 student campus has like news traveling like wildfire about Zach through the school.
I just love the idea that this is another trope that I love and hate at the same time with like rom-coms and high school films like this. Like, oh, he's the most popular girl. I mean, she's the most popular girl. You ever think back to high school and be like, oh, that person's so popular, I just want to be like them?
Honestly, I don't, like you were saying, I don't remember popular people. I don't remember prom king and queen. I have no idea about it. Like, I guess that shows like I wasn't a popular kid.
Well, great.
We
only had 74 kids in our grade. So, I mean,
but even so, I don't remember it.
So we're kind of an outlier because we're not like one of these big schools.
Oh, no.
Because at the same time, we really didn't have cliques at our high school because we all like, you know, because like the typical, like if you're a jock, you're stupid. But if you look at like everyone that was like played sports and stuff, they were all.
Yeah.
I mean, I finished like 13th, I think, in our class, and I had like a 92 average overall or something.
And I mean, honestly, like in our school too, like I cannot relate to She's All That because our school would fit into like the one classroom on this campus of She's All That. Like She's All That is bigger than my college that I went to.
It's true.
She's All That's high school is like the biggest massive thing I've ever seen, and I've never probably set foot on a campus like that. Yeah, I've been to RPI, I've been to MIT. This is a fucking crazy high school.
What's that superintendent make?
Yeah, right.
You know, like what are they bringing home at that campus?
This is a massive campus.
That campus is like a fucking bodega, like the way, like how like extravagant and shit it is. You know,
not only that, but the parties are out of this world at this school. There's like literally mansions of parties. Just like you don't have to worry about it. Go, you know, if you're homeless, just go live in this other person's mansion. They won't even know you're there. It's that big.
Got so many rooms. It's just like, you know,
just go stay in one. You're fine. And so that's why, I guess that's why in the film's world, Rachel Leigh Cook's character, Laney, is quote unquote poor.
Well, that's why I love in Not Another Teen Movie where they actually make Janie Briggs, you know, the Laney equivalent in Not Another Teen Movie. That's why I like that they actually make her dirt poor and like her dad's Ray Quaid and he doesn't have a job. He's just drunk all the time. And she's like, "Oh, you're gonna look for a job, Dad?" He's like, "No, I'm probably gonna go home, get drunk, not do anything." Which is the furthest thing because Kevin Pollak works hard.
He knows all about kidney pools and pool filter.
If there's ever an actor to be like, "Why are you in this film?" Kevin Pollak, probably the king of the 90s. Do you know who Kevin Pollak is?
Not really.
He's a stand-up comedian.
Oh, okay. I mean, I don't really know him from anything else.
He's a stand-up comedian, famous for his Shatnerian
I can see that.
impressions. His most famous role would probably be in Usual Suspects as one of the burglars. Yeah, and that's another film where you're like, why are you in this? As great as he is in it, it's kind of like, why are you in this?
Okay, I know him. He plays Cupid in the Santa Claus 2. I know him now. No, I'm just kidding. He didn't really. He looks familiar, but
He's
really...
in a lot of stuff, but
Yeah.
he's never really he's never like a star. Because even like The Usual Suspects, he's not a star. He's just like a kind of one that's part of the supporting cast.
Yeah.
But he's constantly in films. Like, why are you in this? He's a great He's a great stand-up comedian. Yeah, I think he's funny, but I have a thing for Shatner. Impressions.
This is another movie where you're like, why is he in there? He basically all that Kevin Pollak's here to do is deliver the lines where it's like, Laney, you need to
pumpkin nose.
Yeah, Laney, you need to go out and have some fun because you've been a real bummer. And I fucking fix pools for a living.
Listen, I was once a 17-year-old boy too. You know what a 17-year-old boy wants? Hand jobs.
Basically, that's what he's setting up.
Go out and give Freddie a hand job.
He's constantly being like, I'm going to leave the room. You guys have fun. Go out on the lawn so I don't hear the moaning. Or he's like, it must be tough to not have your mom around to teach you how to give a blowjob. little incest porn there for you. Blossoming part of porn culture right now.
Blossoming, that's in full bloom. It's been in full bloom since the 70s.
Mom and not daughter. Encounter the plumber. Abbott and Costello.
I mean, it is funny because you're right because he is kind of like listen.
Yeah,
you're a little wound up too tight.
Yeah, right. Basically, and he's like,
which I don't think. Which the whole thing, like she's got to change. I don't think she changes because of Freddie. Let me rephrase that. I don't think she changed because Freddie's making her change. I think she changes because Freddie changes her.
That is true. You're right.
She changes. It's not like he forces her to be.
You're right.
Actually, she does it because she's finally getting affection, attention from a boy.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. I don't think it happens to matter that he's the popular school president, and I don't think any of that shit matters.
Nope.
I think it's just the fact that
or even losing out to the prom queen. She doesn't really care that much about losing out because she realizes I'm not a prom queen. I don't care about that. So you're right. I think that the film has in its mind, though produced by the Weinsteins, so obviously some issues there right away when you see that.
Hey, only one of them.
Yeah. But I think that the film itself does have some good intentions because you're right. Freddie Prinze Jr., I can see why he was a heartthrob in 1999. He's a good-looking guy.
Your wife was all over it.
Oh, yeah. In this film, he does not come across as some sort of scummy guy that's even at the beginning when the bet takes place. He doesn't come across as a guy who's just doing it because he wants to win this bet. He actually seems like a nice guy, and he's thinking about her best interests. So he's saying,
I think he thinks so. He'd be by elevating her up, he's helping her out.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is stupid because again, you get that. One of my favorite parts of the whole film is in the beginning when he's walking through the halls and he looks at there's a fucking picture of him.
He checks it out
and he's looking at it.
Give it a lie.
That's one of the best parts too about Not Another Teen Movie is when Chris Evans is walking through the hallways. He sees the picture of himself and he looks at it. He's like, "Yeah, that's me." Then 3 seconds later, he walks down the hall a little bit further and sees another picture. It's a picture of him looking at himself just from 3 seconds ago. And he's like, "That was me." Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I actually do think that they made Freddie Prinze Jr. likable here. They could have gone with the whole jock who's really a dick in school and he finds himself trying to change his girl. But they didn't. They actually made him a fairly likable person throughout the film.
Because he's actually kind of trying to... But he's scummy by the fact that he's just trying to get with her.
Yeah, and then take the bat, obviously.
But at the same time, he's doing it by trying to get to know her.
Yeah.
So he's the first thing they do together is they go to an art, her art performance.
Yeah, he puts in the time. He puts in the effort. You got to say, and then not only that, he learns something about himself too. He learns
that he's
that he's an improvisational hacky sack.
But yeah, so I mean, it's it's kind of. I think it's kind of turning your
I think they did a good job of that. I joke about the fact that the film is change yourself so that people like you. It's not really like that. It's more about both sides finding out that they're the people that they aren't really the people they've been hiding their true selves. especially like as you get towards the end of the film when Lainey's at prom and her art teacher comes up and says, you know what, you've unlocked something about yourself.
Well,
whatever you've done.
I think too, those kind of shoehorned in, like they're kind of trying to like, oh, because of her mother being out of the picture, she's trying to play, be a mother, and that's why she's kind of hidden herself, from being sociable and stuff. It's kind of shoehorned in.
Yeah.
But it works.
It works. I was fine with that.
It makes sense that, like, she doesn't want to do things and stuff because she just wants to be with her dad and, watch over her brother. But at the same time, they do kind of shoehorn it in because the way, like, that whole conversation between her and Freddie goes is, like, kind of, like, cringeworthy when he's like, how'd she die?
Yeah. It was all of a sudden, it's a painting of my mother.
Yeah, it's like,
how'd she die?
Oh, she's beautiful. Well, it's... Some things don't run in the genes. And it's like, shut the fuck up! Like,
Yeah.
You don't have a lazy eye.
I think that they do shoehorn that in, but I did like it because, again, like I said, it's not just about changing Lainey to be someone that she's not.
It's changing Freddie.
It changes Freddie. It changes Lainey as well, but just more so Lainey recognizing, like, this isn't really who I am. Like, I've been hiding myself. I haven't been living it up like I should be. I've been
it's high school.
Basically a housefrau, doing the laundry for my dad, and so I get that, and I think I was sort of mocking she's all that, but it's not really like
she's the in between. She's not popular. She's not she's your epic girl.
She's like
again your girl next door.
Yeah, and she's fine with that.
Yeah, and that's perfectly acceptable.
And then you have the other sort.
Because honestly, what does the guy want more? The really hot girl that they're going to be intimidated by for the rest of their life, afraid of losing, or the girl next door?
Yeah. And then you have Taylor Vaughn, Jodie Lynn O'Keefe's character.
What a name.
Who
just rolls off the tongue. Jodie Lynn O'Keefe.
Who is kind of hilarious because at the end of the film when Freddie Prinze Jr. gives his acceptance speech for the being prom king, he basically says, like, you're going to forget about this and, like, you've hit your peak, Taylor. And he, like, basically looks at her side-eyed. Like, you've hit your peak.
As the fat kid's sitting there, winded, trying to explain what's going on.
I did like that, though. He's like, basically, this is your peak. You're not going anywhere.
Well, again, because it's actually a really cogent point, too. Because as we brought up earlier, like, we don't remember who was prom king and queen.
No idea.
And when we both went, and it was like, a school of our graduating class, like 74 kids. Couldn't be bothered to remember. Because you know what? It
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Don't care.
Don't invest. And that's something I kind of wish too about, like, looking back at high school too. Like, studying so hard. I shouldn't even bother. That doesn't matter. No, because you know what?
Though?
Because if you have enough money, you're going to college anyway.
If you had studied harder, maybe you would have gotten into Dartmouth. Maybe you would have gotten into Yale. Just like Freddie Prinze Jr.
My parents had no way the credit rating to ever sign off on a loan for an Ivy League school.
Basically, if you had submitted your application, they just sent you a credit check in the mail.
It's
sorry. Your credit score doesn't pan out.
Yeah, we don't think we can pay. Yeah, no. But no, so, I mean, it's actually, I think, again, it's a good message. Don't take high school so seriously.
Well, that not only that, but also, like, the message with Freddie Prinze Jr. as a character too is that, like, he really doesn't know if he wants to go to Dartmouth or Yale or any of those prestigious schools. Which at the same
time is kind of hard to. His plight's kind of hard to sympathize with.
It is, yeah.
Like the whole, like,
I don't know,
because you don't know what it's like to have your dad be like, go to Dartmouth when you have, like, you were accepted into every Ivy League school. It's like, shut the fuck up. Like, you out of all the people have, like, nothing to complain about. Just pick.
Or don't pick. And who cares?
No. Because you know what? You could take a sabbatical for the year, and guess what? You'd still get in. Because again, the thing is, Freddie Prinze Jr. is not your stereotypical jock's heartthrob. He's class president, which again is always something I found funny too. Because why did they make it like, oh, he's class president? I don't give a shit about who class president was at our school.
No,
it's just a thing. But he's like the fourth in his class. He's not valedictorian, salutatorian. But he's up there in a class of like 20,000 kids. So
yeah.
If he decided, like, you know what, I need to find myself and take a year off, take a sabbatical, he could still reapply to all those, whatever school, and he'd get in.
Or, like, he decides, go to art school.
After one hacky sack performance, he's like, you know what, I'm going to the New York school,
this performing arts school. I was really good at improvisational hacky sack.
It just drops. It's going to drop eventually.
It has to drop sometime. The hacky sack has to drop.
That whole thing just makes me think of like the Willy Wonka bit where they're going down the chocolate river into the next section and he's giving that speech.
Yeah.
That's what it makes me think of. It's just put that music over there and just,
It's a good moment though. I think the comedy really works in She's All That. I think it's a funny movie. And it's also aided now, looking back on it, almost, 20 years later?
It's been 20.
20 years. Looking back on it with like all of the very 90s things that it has. Beepers.
Outfits.
The outfits.
Outfits
the
and hair.
Spice Girls outfits.
Outfits and like haircuts are totally 90s. It's great. Which, by the way, when you said when Lainey got her hair did up.
Oh, yeah.
You were like, I don't know. I'm like, I like that.
It is very 90s.
I love it.
Flip Bob.
Yeah, I love that. It's great.
You have...
It needs to be brought back. That's totally great.
All of the 90s music. And not only that, but the 90s
one.
high school TV show guitar stings, which are great. The guitar riffs.
The best part that you forgot to mention is Sixpence None the Richer's Kiss Me.
Yep.
That song was going to live in
the featured song of this movie
forever, which I remember being played like a lot longer. It was actually just for that very small part where we get that very famous Lainey walking down the stairs, in a slinky little red dress that Freddie picked out for her because he's a creep.
I don't know how Freddie knew it, but he knew how to highlight those boobies with that dress. He was just like, you know what? I think she's got a nice rack.
That's the funniest part about this whole film. It's like, because she wears overalls, like her titties are hidden, and like oh I don't know, and then like Paul Rudd this year in her onesie bathing suit at the beach. And, oh my god, she's got boobies.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny because it's just like I just think of like South Park. Artos! Artos! Yes, Artos. These Artos will soon control your life, son. You must learn to adjust to them. Artos? Artos. You ever watch that episode?
No.
Bebe gets boobs.
No.
The student, blonde hair girl, Bebe, she gets boobies.
Gotcha.
4th grade, and all the boys start acting like cavemen and going, Artos, and drawing them, and they start fighting over them. And Randy has to, at the end of the episode, like, yes, boobies, son. You will learn to be able to control your passion for boobies, but it'll always be there. And like, Artos? Artos.
No, I haven't seen that.
It's a great South Park. That's classic South Park right there.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's like 2006.
One thing that I like, too, about this movie is that we get to see Kieran Culkin. The
8th Culkin brother.
The unmentionable Culkin.
It's disturbing how much he looks like and sounds like Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, I mean, especially in this film where he's young. He's like probably, 11, 12?
I would say like 14.
14? I don't know. I'm bad at gauging how old he was. But yeah, this was it's like 8th film. Obviously, some of the other ones that he'd done were small roles. Home Alone, he was Fuller.
The one that went to bed.
Yeah, that's right.
He doesn't look anything like Macaulay in that one.
No, he doesn't. No, he kind of...
But here with the hair, I think with the haircut, they were trying to make him look like Macaulay.
That's actually pretty interesting, too, because in She's All That, there is a shot of the book, Cider House Rules. Kieran Culkin was in the Cider House Rules in 1999. Ooh, irony right there.
That's not right. You should know better.
That's ironic.
That's not ironic.
It is ironic.
That's not.
I'm not sure which one they shot. Maybe he had already been. Maybe he had already shot Cider House Rules.
I'm sure he did.
I'm sure he did.
I don't think that's a coincidence.
It's pretty crazy. Was interesting to see, I thought, was Anna Paquin in this film. She's very young. She looks very young, at least. And I almost didn't recognize her because of I feel like, and I don't, I guess this is kind of mean to say, but I feel like her gap tooth is not as prominent in this movie as it becomes as she gets older. perhaps she grew into her mouth. I don't know.
I was going to say, that'd make more sense.
Yeah, I mean,
that makes sense.
I don't know how old she was in 1999, but
that's why you get braces, because it's going to spread.
But I almost didn't recognize her because of that. But I did think it was interesting to see her in this film and see her like at a young age. Because
I just like how it's vaguely hinted that she goes to like a Catholic school or something.
Yeah, because she's wearing like the whole suit and tie and
talks about going to being
all girls school. Yeah,
just a horned up little 10th grader.
Yeah. She's only like a year or two younger than her brother.
I would say like 2-3 years.
Yeah, because they're not the older the younger she gets, the creepier it is that Lainey's friend, the guy that we pretty much only know from the film as being fat, is interested
and having offspring colored blonde hair.
Yes.
It's just,
yeah. It just makes that relationship a little bit creepier the younger she gets.
No, because if he's a senior in high school and she's like 9th grade,
yeah, it's still kind of young.
I know, but still, it's more acceptable than if he's like 24 years old. I
do like and also feel bad for the guy that played him, because literally every scene is like, look how fat this guy is.
He's supposed to be like the fat Anthony, what the fuck, from the 80s.
I don't know who you're talking
Anthony
about.
Michael Hall.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's supposed to be he's supposed to be the fat him.
I just feel like in every scene, it's basically like somebody slapping a Twinkie away from him, or he is breathing heavily because he pushed through a crowd.
Well, I said that too when like Lainey first shows up and he's sitting there in his locker and he's got like a ho-ho in his hand, and you're like, and she's like, get that out of your hand. And I thought you're supposed to lose weight. He's like, I just want to eat the things that I like. And I'm like, that's Brian, that's you telling me like, hey, you're a fat ass. Stop it.
That's not true.
It is true.
Mine's out of love. Make sure that
you don't think they've been friends longer.
No, but I do feel bad. I always feel bad for the people in films where it's like,
oh, you're fat.
You're absolutely hideous and fat.
Well, I was going to say, that's where the joke is. It's like, oh, you're fat. Because what it is, like at the end, when we get to the prom, he's running around, and the girl's like, say it! Come on, say it! It's like, she can't say it? Honestly, he's winded. Just say it, Don't be a bitch.
Yeah. It's actually, like, and it's, I always feel bad about that, like, because, like, those people, like, they're playing the character. They're playing a character, but they're also, like, being mocked in themselves.
Like, you got chosen this because you're fat?
Yeah, basically. I do like, that brings me back to Home Alone. Like, in Home Alone, when Macaulay Culkin looks at Buzz's girlfriend, the picture of, like, the girl that he sees, and he goes, woof! That's actually not a girl. So, like, they were, like, feeling bad about casting somebody for that role specifically. So they're like, no, we're not going to cast anybody for that.
Isn't that the most John Hughes fucking dive down, like, trivia lane that you could possibly throw there?
Yeah.
Hey, if you know in the picture that, Home Alone.
Yeah.
God damn you.
Yeah. It's like the producer's son or something like that. I
don't even remember.
I like stories like that because it's like, no, we didn't want to completely humiliate someone for no reason. So we cast somebody that would look ridiculous in that getup.
You know what? Everyone's fair game, so.
No, I know.
No, I understand.
I feel bad for.
I
think his name. What is his name? Eldon Henson. Is that his name? Is that him?
Wow.
Eldon Henson.
Looks like he went on to be a serial killer.
Actually, it looks like he had a pretty good acting career. Actually, he's been in Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones. So he's been in all of the Netflix series.
Yeah, good thing they all got canceled.
Yeah, but that's still a pretty good career. Moving on from She's All That. So.
Moving on from, how dare you?
I'm just saying.
This is the film of the 90s.
I'm not saying that She's All That was a bad film to be in. I'm saying that a lot of people in the 90s, especially teen stars, would move on to do nothing. So it's good that he actually had a career
This
after.
film is lucky enough to be the launching pad for Usher.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also lucky enough to...
Now, which DJ at your school do you prefer? Usher or Tara Reid?
I prefer Tara Reid. At least she gives me sexual advice.
Yeah, but it sounds so, Iffy coming from her.
Well, it's delivered in like a sort of deadpan, like even if I had sex with you, I would be unimpressed.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Usher at least again Usher's performance in this reminds me of the Warriors. Like he's
Usher in this film sounds like he's getting constant faxes from the Associated Press.
Just
They're coming over like, hey, look what
Freddie Prinze Jr.
look what Freddie Prinze Jr. just did.
Here comes Paul Walker doing shady things.
It reminds me of like when I was at my dad's work when he worked at the radio station. We're getting constant faxes from the Associated Press about Princess Diana dying. That's what it reminds me of. Just getting faxes of like one sentence, like, yeah, Freddie Prinze Jr. did this.
Never understood why that was a big deal.
We're not even going to get into that. I have no idea.
No, I'm serious.
No, I know.
We're Americans. Why do we care if the freaking Princess of Wales died?
Oh, here's a question for you. Do you like Freddie Prinze Jr. better in She's All That or I Know What You Did Last Summer?
She's All That.
Do you find him more attractive in She's All That than in I Know What You Did Last Summer?
You know what? That's... Hair's a little bit more controlled than I Know You Did Last Summer.
Yeah.
Little Josh Hartnett-y in this film.
You did mention that he when he has the gel in, it gets like a graying quality to his hair. It gives him some salt and pepper sideburns.
I was saying, he's got so much like a thick coat of like hairspray on the sides of his hair. It kind of like at certain like angles looks like it's like, he's got gray hair. It's tough. It's tough.
Tough pick. In this one though, I feel like in I Know What You Did Last Summer, he's not sporting the constant parade of polos that we get in She's All That.
Well, he's mainly in both the films wearing Letterman jackets.
The double XL polos.
And, baggy pants.
Yeah.
I think the real question is Rachel Leigh Cook or Jennifer Lawrence? Or Jennifer Love Hewitt, my bad.
Is that a question? What do you think my answer is going to be?
I know what your answer is, but you're wrong.
It's Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Yeah.
By a country mile. But, yeah.
You're wrong.
No.
It's Rachel Leigh Cook.
I like this. I like when we've already covered a film and we're like, now it's like, She's All That versus I Know What You Did. So, it's like,
you know what's the better film? She's All That. You know who's got the better starlet? She's All That.
I agree with you. The better film is She's All That. And that's interesting. I didn't, I felt like I would like I Know What You Did Last Summer until we did the show.
I know. It had Ryan Philippe in it.
Yeah. And I was like, it's not that great. Because it has Sarah Michelle Gellar in it.
No, you had Ryan Philippe.
It's the fateful meeting of Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. combined to make Freddie Michelle Gellar.
I thought you meant the fateful meeting between Ryan Philippe and Sarah Michelle Gellar, because then they'd go on to do Cruel Intentions, the second best film of the 90s.
No. You know what the best matchup is? And She's All That, because Matthew Lillard and Freddie Prinze Jr. go on to make Scooby-Doo.
Ultimate Shaggy.
Ultimate Shaggy.
Well, you know what? That meme died after a week and it happened, so.
That's the next obvious choice that we would make for a new film for next week. Scooby-Doo. The 2002 film.
You're still wrong. You know what? Run that up the poll. Rachel Leigh Cook or Jennifer Love Hewitt?
I will. I'll try it. I'll see what happens.
Mousie's underrated.
My pick would definitely be Jennifer Love Hewitt, but...
I know where you stand. I know where Michael stands, but...
Jennifer Love Hewitt is thick with 2 C's. Whereas Rachel Leigh Cook in here is... I would just say thin. with boobies. So...
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
I do feel bad now.
Jennifer Love Hewitt and I Know What You Did Last Summer is not thick.
She is.
No, she's not.
I feel bad.
You misunderstand what that word means.
I feel bad for all the female listeners. They're like, this is turned into a shit show of male chauvinism.
It's not chauvinism.
I'm joking. We're playing characters of ourselves.
Okay.
We're Tim and Eric.
We're Alex Jones.
Yeah, exactly.
Hulk Hogan.
This isn't who we really are. All right, so you wanted to talk about the prom.
Yeah. How can you talk about this movie and not talk about the prom?
This is the most ridiculous prom that I've ever seen. I've never seen the scope.
Now, one thing I do love is in other films, like American Pie and shit, they kind of take the piss out of prom by like have it be like the most ridiculous. I can't remember what the fuck movie it was, but one of the movies had like Good Charlotte as the band.
Mm-hmm. Of like just
in prom,
just making it be the most outrageous.
Yeah, like a shit show. Mm-hmm. Here it's like it's played like totally straight. Like, oh yeah, and they're like all doing choreographed dances to check it out now. Boom,
oh yeah,
you know, the most like fucking 90s shit going on. It's great. And at the same time, it's like such a shit show. Like, would you want to go? Like, if you were like, if we were seniors in high school, and like, hey, our prom is gonna be at, like this massive Hilton, and there's gonna be like 10,000 people there dancing on the dance floor. Do you want to go? What would you say? You'd probably say no.
No,
I'll stay fucking home.
Absolutely not.
Smoke 2 joints, call it a night. Huh? You know.
I just think it's hilarious too because like whenever you see the cars that are in the parking lot. Or at the prom, but also at the party, it's like all convertibles. It's all like
because it's California,
$20,000.
We're only like
for these
we're
kids.
only 3 years away from California. Here we come, California with the OC. You know,
yeah.
It's such a shit show, but I love it. The thing I hate though is just how Lainey gets duped into going to prom with totally, dude. Fucking Paul Walker here. I'm the skeezy scumbag dude.
He's like, I won't do you wrong.
Like, really?
I think it'd be a little fun to go to prom together.
Yeah, like, what happened to his girlfriend that he had in the beginning that we see for literally the opening second? 2, why would she fall? Like, I know she's doing it to get back at, Freddie Prinze Jr., but at the same time, he was the one that's like, whoa, Lainey. He was just doing it for a bet. And I was like, whoa, dude, I don't want to do that. You know?
Well, that's kind of mean, man.
You know, that's totally mean. Playing with a girl's heart like that.
People have emotions, man.
Did you see how he folded his fucking knickers up? You know he can't be trusted. You know, that part to me is just kind of like, I would have rather seen her not go to prom.
Yeah.
Just be like, no, fuck both of you, whatever.
Especially since her dad must be having some really strange thoughts about his daughter. Because 2 random guys show up at her house.
Well, at least Freddie Prinze has been there now for like 6 weeks, but that 6 weeks seems like 3 days, you know?
Yeah.
Like, this all happens over the course of 3 days.
I just like how her dad's like, you know what? There's a handsome man upstairs waiting for you. You should go to prom. And it's like,
yeah, he's kind of a rapist. Yeah, like, you know what? Give him a hand job.
You know what?
If he forces himself on you, just...
Here's an air horn.
Which, but they play that too. That's the worst joke of the whole fucking film, too. Just the whole, at the end when we see Freddie, she comes back from prom after we know that, you know, Paul Walker's big plan is to take her to the fucking hotel room and fuck the shit out of her. And she just comes home from prom. We don't know what happened. She comes home from prom and Dad's like, oh yeah, there's a boy here for you. She's like, what? And Freddie Prinze is there, and she's like, yeah, I had to use the air horn on him. This air horn, I keep it on to be, you know, if someone tries to commit sexual harassment. That's a big thing. Which, by the way, what Paul Walker was planning on doing, not sexual harassment. That's rape.
Yeah, it's straight up sexual assault.
That's that's not sexual harassment. That's like,
the film does have kind of like a laugh about it. Just like, you know what he was going to do to me? Yeah, he tried to put his fingers in me. You know what though? I sprayed my air horn. It's all good. It's all good.
Pop that air horn out, blew his eardrum out. You know.
yeah. It's they kind of play it off as like a lighthearted laugh, which makes sense for a Weinstein film. And
good for the kosher for the 90s.
Yeah, and they're just like, you know what? Sexual assault. It's a fun time. You know what? It's just normal in school. Everyone goes through it at some point.
Look, as we brought up,
you bring your bear.
I was saying, as we brought up, Freddie Prinze Jr.'s dad, he looks like, you know, he had some good times drinking some brewskis with Brett Kavanaugh.
Yeah. It's just like, you know what? Everybody goes through this. You bring your bear mace. You bring your air horn. It's all good.
But yeah, no, that's literally probably the lowest. Not probably. It is the lowest point.
It's not a great joke. That has not held up well.
It's just, just especially too when you get to the like graduation and they're like walking up and you hear Dean going, "What? When they're calling his name, they're like, "You're calling your name." He's like, "Oh!"
Yeah.
Because he's deaf. Because he blasted him with the fire.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's funny because he's deaf because he tried to rape somebody. Yeah. It's hilarious.
Good times. Good times were had by all.
Yeah. That's good.
He later went on to become a senator,
Yeah. But yeah, the prom itself is ridiculous. And like I said, like it takes place in like a massive hotel. And then also Paul Walker's character pays $300 for another hotel room to bring Lainey back to.
Could have just went home.
Yeah, to his mansion.
This bedroom or whatever.
Yeah. It's nuts. But yeah, the prom, like the whole film does have an issue with like people being able to relate to it from any sort of like normal high school experience. Like Mean Girls has a little bit more of a relatable aspect to it. These people don't really, I mean, obviously it still does have some of that rich clique aspect to it, but most people in that film are fairly normal. Whereas in She's All That, like no one is your normal typical teenager.
They do try. Like I said, they do try to like divide, like But at the same time, that's I think one of the flaws in the film. It just doesn't work.
Yeah,
when
no one would even say Lainey is like.
But then again,
low tier.
I think the thing is because it's not like a Johnny Hughes film where it's like set in Illinois, somewhere in Chicago.
Yeah, like
we were watching The Breakfast Club, where you can believe Emilio Estevez is really a poor kid who's also a wrestler, and like Judd Nelson's the super poor kid, and Molly Ringwald, where you have like people look like and act like they have like a certain division between each other. Here again, like Lainey's supposed to be like the poor kid, but if she went into our fucking high school, she won't be a poor kid.
No. Yeah, I do. I mean, I think it's just like the division, especially like when you look at California, like the area that they are in California. It's just that's the division there. It's like the rich are the richer.
She's got it's like she's got an in-ground pool. She's not poor.
Oh yeah.
No. That's like one of the things that like on your checklist. Am I poor? Do you have a pool? Yeah. Is it in ground? Yeah. You're not poor. you instantly no.
That's the checklist for
the government's like give us
that's like the checklist for Stafford loans. Do you have an in ground pool? Yes. Yeah. You don't get a Stafford loan.
You don't need it.
Yeah.
But I don't have it. No, you don't need it. You got an in ground pool. It's got steps in it. Yeah. You definitely don't need it. No. Brick inlaying? Yep, not bone.
Okay. So, from 1 to 6 pence, how romantic is She's All That?
1 to 6 Mike Pences. I would probably give it a 4.
On the romance scale?
Yeah. 4 out of 6.
Okay.
Well, you said 6, right?
6 pence. Yeah.
Okay. I give it like a 4. I think Rachel Leigh Cook and Freddie Prinze Jr. have a pretty good chemistry. She's definitely carrying the weight of the film. Mm-hmm. Definitely most emotional range. But I'll give Freddie Prinze, credit for the fact that they gave him enough character to not be your stereotypical jock douchebag. He's actually, somebody who's actually thinking outside the box.
They did a good job with him.
He's not he's not your stereotypical like, I'm the jag, look at me. He's like, oh yeah, I'm trying to win her over, but I'll go to her art show. He's willing to do whatever it takes. Which, if you're a guy, because that's what if you really are into somebody, you'll do whatever it takes to get there.
Yeah. I would probably give it a 4 romance scale as well. I think that there's no like grandiose gesture as in say anything or anything like that, but I think more so.
Do you really want him standing outside with a fucking boombox, man?
No, but I think that they did a good job making it believable between Freddie Prinze Jr. and Rachel Leigh Cook, and they make a good couple, and you're just pretty much glad that Taylor doesn't get anybody. She's a fucking bitch.
And that, she's not good enough for Matthew Lillard.
That's right.
He's going on the road rules.
Well, you know what? The only person that's good enough for Matthew Lillard is Matthew Lillard. Yeah. So, all right, and then we gotta have a scale to rate the film itself. So, what would be our scale for this one?
Out of 10?
Yeah.
Out of 10 falafel.
Yeah, there you go. Out of 10 big ball falafels.
10 big ball falafel hats. What would you give She's All That?
You're asking me first. You want me to go first on this?
Well, yes, because this is
This
my
is your film. That's
so
true.
I get to go second.
I would give the film an 8 out of 10.
Wow!
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
Wow!
It's a fun film. I had a lot of fun with it. It's got a nice dose of comedy, which I wasn't expecting. I didn't think it was going to be as funny as it was, and also as tongue-in-cheek as it was. Obviously, in some ways it takes itself seriously, but in other ways it does have that sort of parody to it as well that you would get later on with Not Another Teen Movie. But I thought it was a very fun film, and I enjoyed both Freddie Prinze Jr. and Rachel Leigh Cook in it. I think they do a really good job. The supporting characters are really two-dimensional, but I think they add a nice, sort of stereotypical teen comedy aspect to it. And like I said, I think that the theme itself, though I was joking about it, I think it's fairly good. It's not as black and white as what I was saying, where it's like, you need to change in order to be if
you watch the trailer, that's what it comes off.
That's what it looks like. But once you get into the film itself, you actually notice that neither of them change in change themselves entirely. So Lainey's still into art, and really they just find themselves a little bit more. So Lainey finds out some more about herself and lets herself open up a little bit, and Freddie Prinze Jr. figures out the choices that he was thinking that he had to make aren't really the ones that he wants to make, so he makes his own choice. So the idea is that actually you need to find yourself, less so than change yourself to make yourself more available to someone else. So I think that's pretty good, and I that's why I give it an 8 out of 10. I think the themes are good. Themes are there. It's probably one of the better 90s teen comedies that I've seen, and I enjoyed it.
You're welcome. You gave it a higher rating than I was going to give it.
Yeah?
I was going to give it a 7.5, but
all right.
I'm going to have to give it an 8. Just by what you were saying.
You don't have to give it an 8.
No, because you know what? If you're shooting that high, then I have to too, because I think it'd be disingenuous of me to give it a 7.5. You're spot on. I honestly think, in spite of some problems like Paul Walker being literally Sean William Scott, very low rent from straight off American Pie Sean William Scott. I do think Freddie Prinze Jr. and Rachel Leigh Cook have pretty good chemistry together. I enjoy watching, the kind of fights they have together, and how they find themselves. As cliched as the story gets at times, again, there's a lot of jokes in this film that are very tongue-in-cheek cliche. There's jokes that Lainey's friend, the doofus makes, fat kid, that he makes that you're supposed to go when he's talking about but it's, the dolphin's safe to him because of blah blah blah. And Lainey's I don't fucking care.
Knee slappers.
It's got nice little moments like that where it's turning your expectations. I really do love the fact that in this film, Freddie Prinze isn't your stereotypical male asshole who's, just your, I got this bet, I'm going to turn this girl into prom queen, and then, I'm just going to be me. He's actually willing to if I'm going to try it, at least, even though, we agree that him having this bet to begin with is immoral and douchey, he's at least trying to be okay, if I'm going to try to do this, I got to find out who she is to get her to like me. So he's on the right path and thinking if I want her to like me, I got to figure out what she likes. Mm. But at the same time, it's refreshing because he realizes doing that, I'm kind of an asshole. And I also am finding out I like what I'm doing. And I like what I'm finding out about her. And I want to, be with her more. And, it's a, very nice little tale. Sloppy, yes. Incredibly 90s, absolutely. But I think it's a very enjoyable film. I think the performances all around are great. Even things like little Kevin Pollak being here for whatever fucking reason, just to say Jeopardy lines. It's great. It's an iconic film of the 90s. I think it's kind of getting, now that we're 20, it's been 20 years, now that we're getting past, further and further away from the 90s, I think it's something that's kind of getting a little forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's something that should be remembered more and celebrated more. Because it's a lot better than I think a lot of people probably remember. Even though it does, if you look at it, as you said, at its base level, you gotta change this person for them to like you. That's what it is at its base core, and it comes off as very corny, cliched, and a fucking terrible idea. But it's got the heart.
Yeah.
And that's what matters.
That's right. All right. So that's our She's All That coverage. And that pretty much ends the lightheartedness for the next 8 weeks. We're moving into Halloween territory. Obviously, we normally start our Halloween series around the beginning of September. Our series is going to start a little bit later than that, but that doesn't mean we're not going to cover Halloween films. It's just that the way that the scheduling is right now is going to push our actual Halloween special, if you will, back a couple weeks. But next week, we are covering... What are we covering?
Friday the 13th.
Yes, that's right. We're covering Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter. And Martin says it's the last Friday that we're covering as well on the show.
Because it's the last Friday the 13th.
It's the last Friday
It's
the 13th.
called the final chapter. You can't... How could they do another film after called the final chapter? That would just be lying to your audience. Like with Halo 3. It was finished the final fight.
That's right.
So Halo 3 was the last game in the franchise.
But we're going to do that, and obviously you're wondering why we're doing that. Well, there's a Friday the 13th in September.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, this episode's going to hit a week before Friday the 13th. But because of the way It Chapter 2 is scheduled, we are doing Friday the 13th Part 4 first next week. And then we're doing after that It Chapter 2. Because we just there's no chance to see It Chapter 2 when it releases and then do an episode on it. So we have to kind of switch around the weeks. We would obviously like to release this Friday the 13th episode on Friday the 13th, but it's just not going to work out that way. So deal with it. Listen to the other Friday the 13th episodes on Friday the 13th. I don't care.
Well, that's not on our podcast.
Yeah, no, that's on the J Movie Talk podcast. Which I'll probably share again.
You should, because you know what? As we've mentioned it a bunch of times on the podcast, how we've reviewed Friday the 13th 1 through 3, but it wasn't on our show.
That's right.
It was on J Movie Talk.
It's on a different show.
So, but this time it'll be on ours.
Yeah, we'll do it on ours. Or you could listen to Friday the 13th, the remake, which we also did last year.
We did?
Yeah.
I must have blacked it out.
Then after that, we're starting our Halloween series, which I'm not going to release release it yet. I'm going to work on a graphic and everything that shows what we have.
You don't have to tell the movies we're going to do. Tell them the theme.
The theme.
We, as you know, if you listen regularly, we do a theme for Halloween.
We tried to, yeah.
We've done a Saw marathon. We did Remake-A-Ween last year. This year we're going to do something.
So, yeah, we're going to do a little bit different.
And by the way, you're welcome for the idea.
Yeah, you came up with the idea.
Yeah.
We're going to do anthology films, horror anthology films, which will be fun because we can then devote parts of the episode to each of the stories in the anthology. It's going to be a blast. We're going to have fun with that. And I will say that I'm not going to release the names of the films that we're doing yet, but we are going to do them within decades, and we're starting in the 60s. So we have, and I'll just say, we have 7 weeks of film to do. We're starting in the 60s, so you just brainstorm what we can do. We're not going to release the films yet. We have it all scheduled out, but we're not going to release the names of the films. That'll be a little bit later as we get into September, but yep, anthology series starting from the 60s and doing each decade.
I will give a hint for one. One of them is one that Ryan thought we did, and it's talked about several times on the podcast.
Yeah.
As a favorite film that he likes for the Halloween season, but we have not reviewed yet.
That's right. Yep. So that's it. That's all we'll say about the Halloween season for now. But just so you know, we do have a plan. It's coming up. Hopefully you're listening in to all of our Halloween episodes. It's going to be fun. Again, during Halloween, we switched to a weekly podcast series. Normally we do bi-weekly, but because of the whole season and how much it ties into our show, we always do a weekly episode. So that's coming up throughout September. So we're going to start next week. It'll be a weekly show throughout September and October. Thanks for listening. We hope to see you back. You can subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, any podcasting app. Subscribe to us and leave us a nice rating. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. Just search for us on there, Blood and Black Rum Podcast. We have an email address at bloodandblackrumpodcast@gmail.com. And of course, you can donate to us at patreon.com/Blood and Black Rum Podcast. You can donate anything to us, and it helps us out with our subscription fees and everything for the podcast. So whatever you can donate, we really appreciate. Thank you for listening. Hopefully we'll see you back next week for our episode on Friday the 13th, part 4, the final chapter, and we'll see you then.
Take care.